Welcome on how to draw a realistic eye. The reason why I say most of it is because I was unable to finish the drawing on camera since the camera has stopped recording before I realized it. This video is pretty much making your outlines in light pencil and then coming back to it and shading it to give it more detail, so sort of like a polishing phase. I start out drawing my lines to make it look like the shape of an eye, and then I draw in the pupil. Make sure that when you're drawing an eye that the pupil always cuts into the upper eyelid. This is because a lot of people, when they have their eyes regularly open, not overly dramatic or closed, you can see that their pupils are being cut into their upper eyelids. Make sure that you place markings for where the highlights are going to be or the glare. And then I draw this line in between the dark circle and the outside circle. This is going to give it some depth as we continue. Make sure that you shade the area darker than the outside that I just shaded, and make sure you refine it. You want to give it some dark tint in the curves. As you can see, I made more vertical lines. They're not really anything that has to be specific because we're gonna come back to it and erase it. We're gonna put some dark lines outside of the pupil, and we're gonna shade from dark to light. This is gonna help it give it some depth. I continue on and I do this, and you're gonna wanna need an eraser with a sharp edge on it, and you'll see why. As I polish this eye, it's starting to look more realistic, but you're gonna see that I'm gonna come back to it and add even more detail with the eraser with the sharp edge, and I'm also gonna draw in more vertical lines. Make sure you take your time on the pupil, because if you don't take your time, it might not come out right, looking like an actual pupil. As you can see, I'm using the eraser here, and I made straight lines. And then I'm gonna come back with my mechanical pencil and make even more lines to give it sort of like a pupil feeling. I know it's hard to explain actually, but you just have to look at a photograph and you'll find out why. Now you're gonna move on to the eyeball, and even though the eyeball is actually white, you want to give it some shading too at the upper level. This is gonna give it, as I said, more depth. Yeah, this eye is not realistic. It's not as realistic as I would like it to be. I mean, if I wasn't rushing, because I didn't know that it was gonna take so long until I actually started, it would have been probably better. I mean, right now the actual eyeball looks pretty good, and this is where I start moving into the eyelids themselves and adding some shade. Unfortunately, the camera is gonna cut me off, but as you can see, you have to give it pretty much the same theme. You're gonna shade from dark to lightest in order to create some straight lines. Right here I'm moving on to the tear ducts, and this is not exact, but I try to give it some organic feeling by adding those glares. Your lower eyelid is actually pretty important because you're gonna need to shade underneath it in order to give it a sense of depth. This is where the camera cuts me off, but I'm posting the picture so you can see how my final product was. Although the eyelashes don't look as realistic as I would like them to be, someday I'm gonna give it a second shot, maybe if I get a better camera, and try to make the video better. Hopefully you got enough information from this video in order to draw the eye itself. I should be coming up with more videos real soon, so check back with us. Thanks.